Good day to you. Welcome to my biology class. The topic to discuss in this video is pollination in plants. I can as well say pollination because pollination can only occur in plants and not in animals. Pollination is from the root word called pollen, also known as pollen grains, which can only be produced by plants. How well do you understand biology? There is a snap test at the end of this video. Kindly attempt all questions and type your score in the comment box for me to see. You can share the video link with 10 friends to subscribe and win a gift from me. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back. As you can see in the picture, the pollen grains produced by a flower are being picked by an insect pollinator, which transfers them to another flower. Now let's go over the starter points to note about pollination. Point number 1. Pollination occurs in seed-producing plants, but mostly in flowering plants. Point number 2. Pollination occurs before fertilization. Point number 3. It mainly occurs in a flower, which is the sexual reproductive organ in plants. Point number 4. Pollination may require an external agent, and these agents of pollination will be discussed in my next video. Now let's define pollination. What is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of a flower. And there are two types of pollination. The first one is self-pollination, while the other is cross-pollination. In self-pollination, this involves same flower on different flowers of same plant. So in self-pollination, pollination occurs in same flower or different flowers of same plant, while in cross-pollination, it occurs in different flowers of different plants of same or closely related species. So cross-pollination occurs in different flowers of different plants of same species or closely related species. As you can see in the video, for self-pollination, pollen grains are dropping from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower. Pollen grains dropping from the anther of a flower to the stigma of same flower. However, in cross-pollination, a butterfly picking the pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower. So the butterfly, the agent of pollination, taking the pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of another flower. Now let's talk about features of pollination. Features of pollination. Number 1 feature is called cleistogamy. Cleistogamy. Cleistogamy is a concept which occurs among closed flowers. And closed flowers are also referred to as cleistogamous flowers. These are flowers in which the reproductive organs are closed up. And some of the examples are the pictures you can see. Here we have Commelina, and we also have tobacco flower. So in cleistogamous flowers, the stigma ripens when ripe pollen grains drops on it. The stigma ripens when ripe pollen grains drops on it, which means it is the ripe pollen grain that quickens the ripening or the maturity of the stigma. Feature number 2 is homogamy. Homogamy, and this is a concept in which the reproductive organs, that is the male and the female reproductive organs, mature at the same time, and this occurs in bisexual flowers. So in homogamy, we have the carpel, which is the male reproductive organ, the female reproductive organ, and the stamen, which is the male reproductive organ, maturing at the same time. And examples of homogamous flowers are 4 o'clock plants, also known as Mirabilis jalapa, that is the scientific name Mirabilis jalapa. And another example is sunflower plants. And these are examples of bisexual flowers. Note: evolution has favored the development of plants that promote cross-pollination. And what are the reasons? Reason number 1 is to produce healthier offspring. So which means cross-pollination ensures that healthier offsprings are being produced. This is an advantage over self-pollination. Number 2, to produce offspring that can withstand adverse conditions. To produce offspring that can withstand adverse conditions. Number 3, to produce offspring that have genetic variation. Alright, let's talk about the features of cross-pollination. Number 1 feature is xenogamy. And xenogamy is the transfer of pollen grains from a plant to a different plant of the same species. As we can see in the picture of the left-hand side of the screen, pollen grains are being transferred by an insect pollinator from a flower to another flower of the same species. Number 2 feature is hybridization. And hybridization is the transfer of pollen grains of a flower of one species to the stigma of a different but closely related species. As we can see in the picture, the right hand side of the screen, we have 2 plants that are closely related, but of course they are not the same. So these 2 plants are hybridized, and of course we can see it inbred A and inbred B are the 2 plants, and they can give the offspring hybrid AB. Now let's talk about feature number 3, unisexuality. Unisexuality is a concept in which we have the female and the male flowers born on separate plants. The male and the female flowers are born on a separate plant. And a typical example of that is pawpaw. On the left-hand side of the screen, you have the image of the male pawpaw plant. And on the right side of the screen, we have the image of the female pawpaw plant. Feature number 4 we have self-incompatibility. This is a concept in which the pollen grains fall on the stigma of the same plant and fail to fertilize. So which means when the pollen grains fall on the stigma of the same plant, continuous growth will not occur. It may even in some cases kill the plant. So examples of plants in which self-incompatibility occurs are tea plant and passion flower, as you can see on the screen. Now, let's talk about feature number 5, dichogamy. Dichogamy. In dichogamy, male and female reproductive organs of a flower mature at different times. Dichogamy is divided into two. First, we have the protandry. Second, we have the protogyny. So in protandry, we have the male organ maturing before the female organ. And we see examples such as okra and sunflower. In protogyny, the female organ matures before male organ, and we see examples in palm and fig. Now let's look at the differences between self-pollination and cross-pollination. In self-pollination, this takes place in bisexual plants, while cross-pollination takes place in both unisexual and bisexual plants. Number 2, in self-pollination, only one plant is involved, while in cross-pollination, 2 parents are involved. Number 3, in self-pollination, it occurs or it may occur without an external agent, while cross-pollination usually requires an external agent. Difference number 4. Self-pollination does not result in formation of new varieties, while cross-pollination usually results in the formation of new varieties of species. Number 5. Pollen grains are usually used efficiently and effectively, while in cross-pollination, pollen grains are usually wasted due to the activities of agents of pollination. And like I promised you, in the next video, I am going to talk about agents of pollination.
Thanks for watching this video. To have quick access to new videos released, do like, subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell. Thank you.